Hey, hey. So, live for the second time, Protein and Purpose, episode two. Uh, Live for the first time, second episode here. I think I'm going to be able to save this as an episode. I'm trying something new here, so we'll see how it goes. But was planning on going live later in the week, but had a story I wanted to share from this weekend. So, um, it's got some lessons in it. As I said in the first episode, we'll be talking about fitness, fatherhood, um, everything that has to do with all that and some other things. But so yesterday, I was out front with the kids. They were riding their bikes in the cul-de-sac, and uh, we just having fun out there. And then I was getting recording. My son was practicing his skidding. Uh, my daughter had enough of it, so she went back inside. And after about 10, 15 minutes, um, I see this huge plume of smoke uh, at the other end of the neighborhood, and it looks like it's within the neighborhood in a house. Um, Huge black smoke plume. So I grab my son. I tell him, "All right, buddy. Hey, we got to get inside. You got to get inside right now. Daddy has to run up there and see if anybody needs help." And he sees it and he's like, "Dad, that looks bad." I was like, "It is, buddy, but we're gonna see if we can help." So he runs and get him inside, and he's like, "Dad, is everything okay?" And I just took a second, and said, "Hey, buddy, everything's okay. You're safe. We're safe. Daddy needs to go see if he can help." So tell him to go take care of mommy and Freya, and then I run up the street, and it looks like it's right in the backyard of this house, and a bunch of the people are coming out. And I said, "Hey, what's going on? Is this your house? Who needs help?" And they said, "No, it's the building behind there." Um, so on the other side, there's some businesses there. There's a restaurant, a little strip mall, um, and there's a storage facility. Now we have one of the units in that storage facility, and we have some important stuff in there. So um, made sure everybody in the neighborhood was safe, and then I run around to see if our stuff is safe and call my wife on the way. Call 911, of course, first, which a bunch of people already had. The smoke plume was huge. If you live in San Antonio, you probably saw it. It was all over social media. But then call my wife, let her know, hey, I think it's the storage facility. But it looks like it's at the other end, not at the end where our stuff is, which when I got there, I told her, hey, it looks like our stuff is safe. We're good. And then it ended up being the building next to it, which was a jacuzzi building. And then, my wife calls back and she's like, hey, Gavin's really worried. Can you talk to him? So like, hey, buddy, everything's fine. Daddy just wanted to come up here and see if he could help out, see if anybody need any help, make sure everybody was safe. Uh, which once the fire trucks got there, they put in, it was a small lot in the building that was on fire, and they were putting it out. Um, but if they had access to the storage facility, they could have put in there and put the fire out from the other side too. Which there were what 42 units. There were like 4 or 5 fire trucks, a lot of other like the smaller fire engines. So the smaller fire vehicles and a bunch of police. So there were 42 units total. It was a huge fire. So I go to one of the police officers there who's directing traffic, and I said, "Hey, I don't work at the storage facility, but I have a code that can open the gate. Let the firemen know if they need to get in here, I can open it for them." So we did. They came in, got it all taken care of. So then came home. My son had a lot of questions. He was asking, Daddy, is the fire taken care of? Is it done? Is it going to come back? Hey, buddy, we're safe. We're safe. And he was like, well, why did you go up there? I told him, hey, and I brought this up to a client of mine, this part of the story, because they were saying how their business is growing quickly and taking over part of their lives. And so I told my son, said, "Hey, buddy, as a man, if I can help somebody who's in danger, um, I have to try. If I'm able to, and everything else is taken care of, I have to try." I said, "Now you're 5, so you know, Daddy's got you in jujitsu. You're going to a good school, and we're reading books, and we're teaching you how to be strong and capable, so you can be dependable. Because isn't it great to be dependable?" And I said, "So right now, when there's danger, what you have to do is you have to run to mommy or daddy or your teachers if you're at school, or your coach if you're at jujitsu, or coaches at Kid Strong. If there's danger, you run to them, right? But because Daddy has spent his life uh, building capabilities, being strong, getting strong, and doing stuff, um, we have to do that. So I had to go up there. If our neighbors are in trouble, if they're in danger, I have to go help them. If our something, our the things we own, if I can, if they're in danger, and I can reasonably step in, because that was the next stage. Made sure the neighbors were okay. Then I thought our storage facility was in danger. I have to go see what I can do. I got there before the police and before the firefighters. And then I saw it's a business that was closed for that day. So everyone there is safe. But then I found out I could help the firefighters. So I went to the police officers directing traffic. Hey, I can help. Here's what I can offer. Let me know if they want the help. And they took it, right? So I had to let them know. I had to go do that. It is good to be dependable. Talking to my client, who was talking about how their business was growing and they didn't know if they could keep up with it. We talked about, isn't it great to be dependable? We both were in separate industries, but we had the conversation where our industries don't always represent us well, but we will work to make sure we always represent our industries well. And isn't it great to be dependable? And then it reminded me of, I've shared this a couple of times, but a few years ago, I was flying and I was seated in an exit row. And anyone who's ever been seated in an exit row, if you've flown, you've heard. They go down and they ask every single person in the exit row. They have the list of, if an emergency happens, you need to be able to X, Y, Z. Are you willing and capable to perform these duties? Which you say yes, and then they move on, or you say no, and they have to move you to another seat. So this was 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago. I can't remember. But she's going. The flight attendant's going down the aisle, and she's asking everybody, the questions. She gets to me, and this I love that this happened. This is the reason why I work out. It's the reason why I read the books I do. It's the reason why I take the courses I do. She said when she got to me, she looked and she goes, "You've got this, don't you?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, I do." Isn't it good to be dependable? Isn't it great to be dependable? I love them viewed that way. I love that I model that for my kids. I love that I model that for my family. I love that I pursue that, and I love that I help people build that in their own lives through my business. Um, yeah, that is the story I wanted to share for this week's episode of Protein and Purpose. The I thought with the conversations I had with my clients and how this weekend rolled out, it just was a beautiful story with a lot of good morals and lessons to be learned in there. Got to teach my son some great ones from it, and got to remind my client, doesn't it feel damn good to be dependable? Now, on the other side of that, there is, of course, setting expectations for those that you work with, um, and having your own boundaries to make sure your business doesn't take over your life. If you need to raise your prices or whatever the case may be, um, and that reminds me of the the rule that lifeguards the rule that lifeguards are taught, um, when they go to rescue somebody who's in danger in the water. They swim up to just outside of arm's reach and they wait for that person to give up. Because if they go in and that person is still has enough energy to bring them down, they're in panic mode. They can knock out the lifeguard and put the lifeguard's life in danger. So the person is, if they're in trouble in the water, they are going to struggle to the point where they're exhausted. Once they're exhausted, you can rescue them without putting yourself in danger. And anybody who hasn't been in any type of emergency situation on either side might take issue with that, but it's true. Um, so build dependability in yourself and in your life. Be of service when you can. Set boundaries and expectations for how you engage with those around you. Yep, that is Protein and Purpose episode 2. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I will see you later.